Now I won't waste any more time. To Jessica, you have 10 to 15 minutes.
Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to talk at this panel. As we know, the Agenda 2030 is a global agreement in order for governments assume the development objectives, but first of all, come back to climate changes. The challenge was the real implementation and how the countries are implementing them. For example, finish the poverty doesn't mean put everyone in assistance or social programs, how is happening at many countries of America. But it was to generate investment and employment. This is the first challenge, understand what the countries with their own ideologies want to do. On the other hand, what I see is the kindly language that the agenda used to define the objectives, and that's okay, but in the ground, the real internal agendas doesn't work like that. For example, the goal of safety food and the promotion of healthy lives in our country means that the international cooperation works on genetically modified foods or fortified foods and family planification programs. And well, we can go ahead with the genetically modified foods, even that we really don't be sure in the specific damage to health. But we don't think that the family planification has go the way it goes by contraceptives, mandatory sterilization, and abortion. We know, we are sure that the best way to don't have a lot of children without meddling the family lives is to educate the women to be respected. But here we have two problems to solve. One is the intervention of the family make a rupture in our country, because the children are the most secret treasure for the families. It was the same as the Indian history with the Indira government when her son established harsh sterilization policies, and Indira herself had to approach the people again asking for forgiveness. She had been wrong in giving so much authority to her son. But we have to help some way to all those women that had 7, 8, or 12 children. When you was inside the country and hear the stories of those people, you understand that there is another big problem that we have to solve. We live in a patriarchy, so the discrimination of the woman in the rural areas significate that the man take them like a sexual thing. It's not a decision to have or not have sex, and it means that the woman got pregnant all the possible times. We must promote gender equality, but understanding that women and men have different places in the family institution. That's why we could say, educate one man and you will have a good person, but educate one woman and you will have educate a lot of people. The father gives the children a lot of things that the mother maybe has more difficult to give. For example, security, dignity, and all the things that help a good personality for the children. But women gives the inside training of children, give them love, values, virtues. Many of you are fathers, and you are the ones that take your children and make them fly with your hands and pick up them again, because what you have to show them is that the outside and feel the security coming again to your arms. Women take care of children and show them how to love, how the love works. Both figures obviously are important in the life of each children. Even if there's no father or mother, they need someone who plays that role. At my country, in in more and more cases, the companies know that for work we have the same capabilities. Maybe women are a little bit more smart because we could have a lot of things in our brain at the same time. And guys, just you have a straight channel to work. If you have any doubt of that, you may look a video called man brain versus woman brain at YouTube. At my country, this work, when you talk about it, works at the high and middle class. Any people could have employment. There was really few companies that doesn't go with this. Each time, more women will be at the top of management companies. The lower class have few possibilities. There are people that can send all their children to school, and others that can't have money to let them go and prefers them to work. And the boys obviously have the preference in the families. In general terms, the Agenda 2030 of the international cooperation, it's not included in Guatemala development agenda. We haven't changed the multi-annual plans in the public entities to join the consensus of the international organisms. But we are definitely with high pressure from the international and multilateral organisms by financial and technical cooperation. That means that we are technically out, but the financial and technical cooperation push some objectives in a transversal way by the government programs. For example, as I already said, by contraceptives and mandatory sterilization and abortion. The poor woman never knows what was they doing with them. They couldn't know Spanish, so they have a baby or they was pregnant, and the hospitals just call them to have a simple procedures and they sterilize them, or abortion babies. As you see, everything sounds great in the theory, but in the ground we have other reality. Another important element of the implementation that have Guatemala in order to development objectives are the peace agreements. In the last 30 years, Guatemala was subscribed about 10 of these agreements, and of those we advance on the specifically objectives of social development. So we are at the same point than 40 years ago. So the theme is not to subscribe those agreements and then be pressured by the international cooperation, but be a political priority and solving a problem of lack political will to implement them. By first, it's very important to know the way we are in each of the interventions we have to implement. Work and basic lines and establish real time we need and the resources we need to invest for that implementation. This is very important to put in order the international cooperation. By now, Guatemala don't have any agenda that allows to articulate all the requests that are made, and that's why everything came with conditions. Guatemala have an additional challenge, the political conjuncture and the corruption. So there is no any confidence in the public institutions to execute any national or international fund. What we really need is to change the state capabilities to implement any development objectives. So as a country, this is not a problem of investment. It's not a problem of money. It's a problem of government capabilities, confidence and management models. So why I'm here, I'm not a political employee, and I'm an entrepreneur. that take the same risk than other people at my country. We have to do what the corrupted government can do by now. We need to change the model since the base with social development projects. We are not non-profit organizations because we have to live with the things that we are doing, but we are changing people quality of life, introducing them into the markets with their own well-done products. We have to do like an ant work, as we say at my country, chopstone, going so far from the city and make changes by our own. If we take each of the points of the agenda 2030, we could find a lot of people doing something with them. In my case, with CETASIC, the project that I started 4 years ago, we are empowerment women, helping them to do quality products, giving them the administration skills, and we had a program of values for them to take care of their families, improvement in their quality of life, reminding their dignity, so they know that they are not just a sexual thing, and they decide how many children they want to have in consensus, obviously, with their husband. They earn money with their work, so they have a new role in the family. They could decide many things. They already understand that children need to go to school, and we help them, putting them in contact with other projects that bring scholarships to study at high school and the university. I'm helping also with another project called Ecofiltro that brings pure water with filters made by clay and other elements. And it was an invention of one older man from Guatemala, and it receives funding from the US. And also, 2 years ago, I started a different project too, and the objective was to found non-political leaders from all the states of my country, be in touch with them and improve them to do a little bit more with their environment. Maybe having a social development project for them to know how is the cost to develop their villages, and for them to have a good impact helping people. The real meaning of this project is to have everywhere honorable people, thinking that in maybe two years we may be a political group that change our country since the root. Now, it's hard to say, but when people that I know, good people, very good people, try to take a place in the government, or they decide to go, or they're working, then they decide to go outside because the things inside was very difficult to be honorable. So, but are so many people that, okay, perfect, I have 2 minutes. There are other people that stay there, and you look that in very little time they be mixed with all those things. I don't want to give you a bad idea of my country because I really love my country, but this is the truth, and I'm here because I want to change this. And when I say that the international cooperation can't work with our government, I didn't say that the ordinary people don't need help. We need it, and we are the ones that going to change the situation, and we are the ones that will put all the 2030 agenda in the scenario of our country. And I already finished, thank you. And I have the first question to this panel, because I want to know how the entrepreneurs be inside this international cooperation, you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that was a very, very informative experience that you brought to the table for policymakers to think about, and thinkers and research think tanks. So I think we have about 15 minutes for open discussion session. Yeah. So I'm not going to even try to summarize because I failed to capture the salient issues and I don't want to be accused of that. So I'm going to open up the floor. I think we'll take about 3 or 4 questions per round. If you could introduce yourself, and also if you could just keep the questions short and directed to any of the panelists, or if it's an open question or a comment. So the floor is open. I think the panel just did a good job.
I want you to answer my question.
Oh, we have a question here. There's one here. Do you have a roving mic? And there's a second one.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to make a comment. Now,